beauty.
Welcome in, Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by CIBC, the official bank of your Chicago Fire. As we are each and every week, we are live at the Heineken Pub 97 at the CIBC Fire Pitch. Fred Hubner along with Frank Klopas, Paul Tenorio will be joined by Nemanja Nikolic in our later segments. And it's always nice talking about wins. We have 3 games unbeaten, going on for a couple of road games. But Frank, DC comes in. We talked last week. You can't overlook a team that's at the bottom of the standings. The first half was interesting. The second half, the Fire put them away.
No, and I think that was the key. I think we talked about how important it was in matches like this not to underestimate. You look where, the teams are at the table right now, and I think it was important that the team had a good week of preparation. They took the game in a real serious way, and I think that it showed. And I think so much for me in games like this, it's all about getting the first goal.
Mm-hmm.
Once they got the first goal, I think then after that the game was over. And then for me, if it wasn't for Bill Hamid, Paul, in moments in that first half, I think it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I mean, with a team that comes in with little to lose and a lot to prove, we knew it was not going to be an easy first 15 or 20 minutes in that game. I had a feeling that DC was going to throw a lot forward, and that's exactly what they did. And for that first 15 or 20 minutes, it was a game that DC United very well could have gotten that first goal. They had the better of the possession, they had the better of play, but they really didn't create too many huge chances. There were a couple little moments there that probably made Fire fans hold their breath a bit. But after that first 15 or 20 minutes, the game settled down. I thought Lucho Soleniak started to come into the central zones a little bit more and give Chicago the numbers in midfield they needed to combat the 3 in midfield for DC United. And from that moment on, it was a game that the Fire just started to take over. And then you saw those moments that you're talking about. Bill Hamid, 2 huge saves kind of back-to-back there. And then it took a header from his own teammate to get the scoring started and turn the game.
Let's take a look at some of the action from the game on as Saturday as the Chicago Fire welcomed in DC United. Nice night, and yes, we talked about Bill Hamid, and here he is at work very early.
It's just a phenomenal save from Bill Hamid. This is why he's one of the top young goalkeepers in this country, and Frank always talks about consistency, but he is certainly capable of making the big saves.
Yeah, and then when you see him early on and he comes up with this big saves already, and you're saying, oh my God, this could be one of those games, where it's going to take something unbelievable, and
there it is.
Sometimes it's not the unbelievable thing; it's a mistake from young Ian Harks there, and just his eyes are off the ball, and it's just a little bit unlucky, but it's what the Fire needed.
Yeah, that was definitely what the Fire needed, and there's still opportunities here. A great chance for Lucho. I thought he had a great game throughout the course of the contest. You saw Alvarez leave the ball to him.
Yeah, and then he tried to roof that one, but there's some just couple good chances here. Lamson makes a great save, just a reaction save, where I think that DC was just, had a couple opportunities in the second half, and then just, for me, you can just see Vincent more than anything, the recognition as, no one is tracking him, great ball there, and then for me, he puts it in a spot difficult for Hamid to save because the ball is coming across, and then as the goalie's moving, he puts it back where the ball came from, and just an unbelievable finish. But the recognition for me, just to see the space and make that run, and a great ball for Alvarez there.
Yeah, here's Lucho again getting the ball coming into the box and drawing the PK.
I mean, that to me is just a stupid tackle. He's got no chance at the ball. It's frustration more than anything. It's an easy call for the ref, and a record-setting goal right there, record-tying goal rather.
Yeah, nice to see Nico again on the board once again. We'll be talking with him in our third segment right here. So the Chicago Fire getting back to winning at home, a 3-0 win over DC United. And really important also because the next 2 games, this is a week where you've got a couple of road games. You go to Philadelphia, you go to San Jose, 2 games that you got to go on out and play well at.
Well, I think you're going away against Philly, and it's a team where at home they're a little bit better, but it still comes down to, being disciplined. I mean, I think that the team is going to focus. I don't think they're going to underestimate anything, but it still comes down to, and we'll talk a little bit more, again, getting that first goal, making that first play. And once the Fire, when they do that, and I think it's very difficult to beat them, but more than anything for me, I think they really have to clean up because early into this game against DC, I think the first 5-6 minutes, DC came out hard, like Paul said, but it's those turnovers. I think, again, they were sloppy with the ball, and I think they gave opportunities to DC, and that's why they had a little bit of the game. But after the first 10 minutes, 12 minutes, they kind of took control of the match.
In this league, you have to take care of your games at home if you want to really be a contender and you want a high seed in the playoffs. And it was an important result for that reason. And I think also when you looked around the league in the East, all of the results fell the Fire's way later on, so it became an even bigger win. Still just 3 points now behind NYCFC for that number 2 seed and a bye in the playoffs.
Yeah, one of the tough things, too, we saw Ian Harkes with that own goal. I mean, they were still in it. They were playing okay, but then after that own goal, it just, your shoulders slump a little bit if you're DC United. It's tough.
Listen, they put a lot into it, but you can just see as the game was going on, even like on the Vincent goal that he came, I think in the end of the day, you still have guys that they don't track well. You know, they're guys that they want to, you know, attack, and they play more when they get the ball. But in order to have that success on the road, you got to put a complete game over 90 minutes and do it on both sides of the ball. The moments was going to be there, but obviously that kind of helped early on when you know, when it kind of Ian scored, and then they had to push the game a little bit more and opened up more.
With the win, the Chicago Fire now just 3 points behind New York City FC, and I know there's a couple games coming up Saturday and then Wednesday. The next home game for the Chicago Fire will be against NYCFC, but here are the games coming up Saturday this week. It is a 6 o'clock start, 5:30 pregame on CSN Plus, and then on Wednesday evening, a late affair, 9:30, with a pregame at 9 as the Chicago Fire go to San Jose. We'll continue talking about the Fire 3-0 win. Don't forget, Nemanja Nikolic will join us a little bit later on in the show. You're watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by CIBC.
Heineken tastes perfect every single time, and that doesn't happen by accident. It takes 15 years to become a Heineken brewmaster, almost as long as it took me to master this look.
She came to meet a man. She found an angel. Good, ba-da-ba-checka. What's his name now? Good, ba-da-ba-checka.
Still practicing. It takes 15 years to become a Heineken brewmaster. There's more behind the star.
The heat will wear you out real quick. And we've been through some hot ones. It's very physical. You gotta take care of your body and stay hydrated because every moment matters. That's why I drink Advocare Hydrate. I've got a job to do.
Why would you go out of your way and wander around a warehouse for paint when you can just swing by your local Ace? Ace has top-rated paint like Valspar, can match any color, and mixes it with something that's hard to find. Award-winning service, because the way we see it, if anyone is going to go out of their way,
it should be us.
It's the Ace Extra Mile promise. If it ever takes more than one trip to complete your paint project, we'll bring you what you need, and delivery is free.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Welcome back in. Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by CIBC. Fred Hubner, Frank Lopez, Paul Tenorio. A nice 3-0 win over DC United. And the Fire did it again. Another game where Bastian Schweinsteiger unable to play. Not so sure if they're going to have him this week or not. But the other guys in the midfield have to pick it up.
Yeah, but I think good performances all around. And I think I start from the back, you know, with Matt Lamson. I think it was important to get a clean sheet. I think Matt came up with some big saves in the game. And I think, again, from the back line, Paul Campbell had another very good performance. We talked both about Vincent and Polster, Kopperhoff, solid games. You know, Dax through the middle. And then for me also, it was good to see Nico, and we're going to talk to him a little bit, but I felt that, you know, his movement in that game was very good. Early on, the long diagonal ball, and his movement off the back shoulder to get through, and a big save by Hamid, the one that we looked at where, you know, Akam breaks through, and then, you know, so his movement was very good. So for me, it was a clean sheet, dominating result 3-0. I mean, they took the game serious, but good performance by a lot of guys, and that's what you need to continue to build confidence as you're winding down the season, and you continue to play well. It's going to be needed in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you pointed out Jonathan Campbell having another good game, and I think you always want that, right? In those moments where somebody has to step into a starting lineup, a response from that person to step in and play well and make it difficult to pull them back out of the lineup. Whether or not Joao Maira is healthy enough to play or not, it's going to be difficult to pull Jonathan Campbell out of the lineup because he has performed well when asked, and that's what you want out of your depth guys, out of guys that are waiting for that moment. Drew Connor coming into a tough moment, he's not going to give you what Bastian Schweinsteiger does, and it's unrealistic to expect that. So what do you have to expect? A high work rate. You want him going both ways, pushing high up the field when you have the ball, but recovering in those runs. And I think the fullbacks have come back and performed well. Brandon Vincent, a really strong outing, I thought, again. And you're right. I thought Nemanja Nikolić's movement made things difficult for DC United. And you have to take advantage of these opportunities. In DC, they put a lot of young guys out on the field. They're trying to find some answers for next year and maybe steal some results. And I thought it was important for the Fire not just to win the game, but to win the game decisively, because that's what good teams do in those moments.
And then good, some good plays are by Arturo Alvarez. He came into this game. We talked about him. What can he bring in a game where maybe, DC pushed a little bit, but you saw his quality, his ability now. He was so clever. He's running with the ball, but he sees the whole field. You think he's going to shoot. He's got that great ability where he can play those through balls in the final third. You saw the quality in the service. I talked about it almost being like a sniper, like a laser, and it was a great ball to the back post. So, I think all those little moments like that, I think just help the team. And I think, you have guys now that are getting sharper and again, confidence as this season is winding down. And I think it's going to be important because these are all guys that you can rely on in the playoffs.
And you also see John Maira had a chance to put him in late in the contest. And also during that 11-game unbeaten streak, that's when Vincent and Polster were actually playing their best. And then you had some injuries that kind of slowed things down. Now, I know coaches are never going to blame injuries because there's always next guy up. But media and fans can always blame injuries. And when those guys were down, it was a little bit of a struggle. But they're back, and it's a perfect time to come back with 5 games remaining only.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think this is what you're trying to do in the later stages of the season, right? You're building momentum towards the playoffs. Mm-hmm. You're getting guys healthy again. You're putting different players, different faces into the lineup and saying, what am I going to get out of you? We're seeing what Arturo can give a team in the playoffs. He can start a game. He can come in and give you 15, 20 solid minutes and change the game. You bring these fullbacks back. They're playing just as confidently. You're getting answers out of a whole bunch of different guys, and all of it has to be not just a mindset to win the game, which is important, but I think some answers for the coaching staff going into the postseason, because those games are so high intensity, and the momentum once that postseason gets rolling, yes, it gets stopped from time to time, but it's so condensed in a way with games that always matter. You're going to have to count on different guys, and I think that's what some of these answers are. It's an eye towards the postseason and saying, can I count on Drew Connor to step in big moments? Can I count on Arturo? Can I count on Jonathan Campbell?
And I also felt, as the game goes on, I think that, from a tactical standpoint, I think, Pano made a very good move. Brings in Joao Maira, and then you insert him in the back. You have 3 center backs or even 5 at times when maybe DC was, pushing numbers on the outside. They bring a guy like Mullins, more of a box player. They know they're going to get more service in. They bring Steiber in, a guy that looks to combine more. So they clog the middle. So he's thinking ahead already. And then, he doesn't, he's anticipating. He doesn't react in moments like that. So his ability now to bring a guy like Maira into the game and lock the game down and not give anything away in the end, I think these are all very positives for the team.
Nice to see Brandon Vincent named to the team of the week after that one goal. And as you guys said, he's playing well. Besides that one goal, the goal is always nice, but playing well on the backside, really nice. With only 5 games remaining as they're making that playoff push, is a perfect time for those things to have happening. And we'll take a little bit further look at the playoff picture later. But there are games going on tonight. The Chicago Fire got a big home game coming up in a couple of weeks when they take on New York City FC.
But you're right. But the thing I was going to go back to Vincent, I was going to tell Paul, the thing that I've seen him. And I almost feel like, he missed his games from an injury, but almost he's come back in a better way. Like, I feel like he's reading the game better. I think his positioning is very good. He's been very calm on the ball. And I think his decision-making and anticipation has been better. And sometimes you miss games, but it's such a good lesson learning and watching things from the outside. And I think he's come in and he's been a better player.
Sure. Yeah,
Trusts
he definitely
himself
has.
and he has a better idea for the game. Sometimes sitting out watching helps you get that perspective.
So apparently I should know a lot because I sat out and watched a lot in all sports. So when we come back, we'll have a chance to talk with Nemanja Nikolic. And don't forget, coming up, the Chicago Fire on the road for a couple of games, but when they come home, it's a doozy. Coming up on the 30th of September, a Saturday night, they take on an NYCFC at Toyota Park. That's a big one, chicago-fire.com/tickets to pick those up. The game presented by Valspar. That's coming up on the 30th. You want to be there. The Fire back to playing well at home after that 3-0 win over DC United. We'll talk with Nemanja Nikolic when we come back. Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by CIBC.
Do you have too many bills but not enough money? Would you like one lower payment for all debt, little or no money down? I'm attorney Peter Francis Geraci. Our Chapter 13 plans stop collections and creditors in one day for as low as $95 every 2 weeks. Get rid of bill collectors and high car payments. Get one lower payment today. Call or click now.
When you need to be debt-free, call 1-800-CALL-PFG. That's 1-800-CALL-PFG.
Oh, you brought Butch.
Yeah.
He's looking at me right now, isn't he?
Yep.
Butch is like an old soul that just hates my guts.
You can never have too many faithful companions.
Introducing the all-new Crosstrek. Love is out there. Find it in a Subaru Crosstrek.
The Capital One Venture Card. Unlimited double miles on every purchase, not just airline purchases. Now available in metal. What's in your wallet?
Cubs fans, stay close to your boys in blue right here at CSNChicago.com. We're bringing you the top stories, team news, and video that you crave all in one place. Phenomenal coverage. And you can trust insider Patrick Mooney to bring you the very latest from the clubhouse. Then head over to the Pulse page and get your social on. Check out the standings, the schedule, stats, and gear up at the shop. It's all one click away. It's that easy.
Welcome back in. Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by CIBC. Fred Hubner along with Paul Tenorio, Frank Lopez, Nemanja Nikolic. Nice enough to join us, Nemanja. Nice to have you.
Thanks for having me.
You know, the team hit a little bit of a rough patch. Now 3 games unbeaten in a row. How are things feeling at back over at Toyota Park after a nice little streak here?
Yeah, I think that we play and we work really hard to achieve this. It was a really important game against DC. We are now really close to achieve the playoff, what was our goals before the season. And now we have 5 games more, 5 finals more. So we need to push to play in the with the same attitude, with the same confidence. And I think we are in the good momentum, in positive momentum, what is really important. And we believe in each other. So we built really something good, and we want to improve, like always. So it was really important to start to win the games. But nothing is done yet. We need to work more harder because the last part in the season is the most important.
Well, we talked a little bit about this after the game, but with that goal against DC, you tied a club record for most goals in a season. I imagine it's got to feel pretty good to have been here for 1 year and already have your names in the club's record books.
Of course, it's all the time good when you achieve and when you broke some records. Records exist to break them, and I think I work really hard to achieve this. Thanks to my teammates who helped me in this kind of momentum. I came in the new country, in the new league, and I'm the type of the striker who needs support behind me. And here in Chicago, I have everything. The coaching staff believe in me, the players, my teammates, and this helped me a lot. So I'm really happy to achieve the milestone in my first year here in MLS, and I hope that in a couple of games more I will score a couple of goals and I will be alone in that list.
Continue. That's important. Maybe put these shoes on to score some. Huh?
It's nice. It's nice, no?
I love it.
Chicago Fire and red color.
No, I was going to ask you, Nemanja, because you're an experienced player and you've been in different leagues in the world, and when you play games against teams like DC that you're expected to win, even teams like Philly going in this way, not easy games, you know yourself. What's important, you know, from your standpoint, the experienced players that you've been like that, the message that you can help the other guys, and also the message from the coaching staff? How important is it, you know, not to take the games easy and to continue, like you said, to keep working hard?
Yes, the tough games are these kind of games when everybody expects from you that for sure you will win because, for example, DC is last on the table,
right,
and everybody expect our victory. But to be honest, for every single victory you need to work really hard, and I think we don't need to change nothing. We need to remember that in the summer we was in the first place on the table, and we work really hard to achieve this. Okay, now we have ups and downs situation, but I think it's normal in our life. We are professional. We need to know how to handle this kind of situation. So our message is it's to believe in our work, to believe in the locker room, to believe in the coaching staff, and to follow them. I think we build really good group in the locker room, and this is the most important thing I think in the soccer. Everybody fight for each other, and this is how it need to be. We are fighters, and I think we are winners also, and we will show this.
Around the rest of the world, they have playoffs for promotion and relegation. Here, there's 12 teams that make the playoffs. Did it take you a while to figure that thing out?
Yeah, in the beginning, yes, but the Pano explained me everything when I moved here in MLS. But it's not something new for me because in Poland I play also playoff, and my first title when we win in Poland, I win in the playoff because we have the same number like the second one in the behind us, so we fight until the end that year. So I know the experience in the playoff. Here in MLS it's different. In playoff, in my opinion, we need to play also with the head, not just with the legs. There you don't have opportunities to make the mistake, and you need to be focused. And also when you will play 2 games, also you need to be focused how you will handle that situation. Because if in one game you will play bad, you don't need to forget that second game you have opportunities to fix that mistakes. So we need to be mentally there, and I hope and I believe that we have a really good group to achieve something good in this season.
I was just going to say, what do you prefer better? Because I know in Poland you have the playoff situation similar like here, but I know you played in countries where you play 34 matches and you have a winner in the end. Do you think one way you have maybe more consistent or better games throughout the season? Because in a situation where the Fire was, maybe if you're somewhere else, you have 6-7 games, maybe this is where you lose a championship. But now,
exactly,
in a playoff format, you're still there in the end.
Yeah, exactly. I think that that playoff give opportunities for another teams to fix it, the mistake what they have during the season. In Poland, when the regular season is finished, they cut the points, and the teams who are on the 6th position or 5, they have opportunities to win. And you play 7 games in the playoff. Everybody play with each other. If you are first on the table, you play 4 games home, 3 games away. Here it's different, but how I say, here you need to focus because you don't have space for the mistake, and you need to be mentally there and also physically because the season is so long. Now we are in the last part of the season. when we need to push more harder, and just to believe in our group. I think this is the most important.
We will have more with Chicago Fire forward Nemanja Nikolic when we come back. Don't forget the Chicago Fire, couple of road games, and then they come home to play NYCFC coming up on Saturday the 30th. You want to get your tickets now, chicago-fire.com right now. NYCFC just 3 points ahead of the Fire in the Eastern Conference. You're watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by CIBC.
The blades of a combat chopper spin at 380 RPMs. Not even close to an Echo trimmer. Now that's shock and awe. Power on and on.
If you have recently suffered an injury or had surgery, let the experts at NovaCare Rehabilitation get you back to an active lifestyle. Our comprehensive programs deliver the highest level of physical therapy, hand therapy, sports medicine, and work health rehabilitation. Our highly skilled therapists develop individualized treatment plans to exceed your expectations. So, don't live in pain. To request an appointment today, visit NovaCare.com. NovaCare, the power of physical therapy.
Don't let pain knock you out of the ring. Our hand, wrist, and elbow experts are pioneers worldwide. You need us in your corner. Midwest Orthopedics at Rush. Make an appointment today. After our minimally invasive spine surgery, 80% of golfers maintained or improved their handicap. Be treated by the pros to play more like a pro. Midwest Orthopedics at Rush. Make an appointment today.
What's more powerful than the winds of a Cat 5 hurricane? An Echo backpack blower. So, yeah, it'll clear a path. Power on and on.
Welcome back in Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by CIBC. Fred Hubner, Frank Klopas, Paul Tenorio, and Nemanja Nikolic of the Fire joining us. Now, you scored on the PK in the 90th minute. I got a question, because we see around the rest of the world, we see sometimes forwards are arguing. I'm going to take the kick. No, I'm going to take the kick. Lucho had a good game. He drew the penalty. Is there any question? You're the official penalty kick taker?
No. In our team, David Akam is the person who take the PKs, and thanks to him, I score my 18 goals against DC. This is also show that we have really good group inside the locker room. David is here 2 years. This is his 3rd year. He makes really good things for Chicago Fire, but he saw and that it was really important moment for me when I can achieve something, and also I fight for the Golden Boot, and this is also important that you don't have players who the great thing is that you have your teammates who play in the similar position like you, but he's not jealous on your success, on the things that you achieve. And the good thing is that also he helped me a lot to improve my game, and also I try to help him and also another players who play close to me to improve their game and to be better every single game.
Because I know every game, I'm sure Frank wanted to take PKs.
No, but this is the great thing. I really respect a team that understands. You know, you have a player now that is in a position where you can break or tie a club record, but also, like Nemanja said, you know, you have a chance at the Golden Boot. But the most important thing, if I ask Nemanja, like, it doesn't matter where he scores as long as the team wins. I think this is the most important thing, and this is the group mentality that I've seen, which is a great thing.
Well, one question I was going to ask is, it's always tempting to look at the table and say, you know, you guys are only 3 points behind NYCFC for the number 2 seed, which would be important because then you get a bye in the playoffs. You have a one fewer game you have to play. And then you also can look at the Golden Boot and see David Villa there. Joseph Martinez scored another goal already tonight. He's creeping up. how much do you look at the table and how much do you look at the Golden Boot and say, okay, we need to do this to win and I need to do this to get the Golden Boot?
Yeah, the easier thing in soccer is when everything is in your hand. You don't need to look nobody else. Just to concentrate on your game. Now in this moment, of course, I need to look who is in front of me, and this is David Villa for the Golden Boot. And if I look the team, this is the New York City and Toronto. So. Of course, we want to achieve that second place. I think in this season, which is really long, if you achieve the first two positions, it's mean that you will have 10-14 days more to rest. It's mean a lot in this kind of situation and in this moment. So of course, we will try to be there. New York, we will play against New York City here. Next game in Toyota Park. But before that game, we will have two difficult games against Philly and San Jose. So I think now we are in the positive momentum, but is really important for the team, for the club, for the players. I think our confidence is more bigger, and I will try to help with my goals to achieve that second place. And I'm sure that I will fight until the end to achieve the Golden Boot.
Well, I know, you know, it's a much different country, United States, a little bit bigger than Poland, which means you have to go a little further for the games. This week, you fly to Philly for a game, and then you've got to fly all the way to the whole other side of the country to play in San Jose just a couple days later. Have you adjusted to the travel and the demands that come with playing in MLS in that sense?
To be honest, this is the most difficult thing here in MLS. I think it's really difficult to adapt on this. This is my first year, and I will need time. Of course, I think the soccer player they don't need to try to find the excuse for these kind of things. This is our job. We do the things what we like the most in our life, and I'm grateful to God to give me the opportunities to make money and to do what I want, what I like. So it's really nice to see the new cities, the new stadium. I like these kind of things, and yes, in the Europe you play one game home, one game away. Here is different, and I'm new player here in country. I need to adapt on this situation. I feel a little bit tired, but nothing special. I have a lot of power in myself to finish this season really good, individually and to help the group.
Well, they say that a lot of it, and a lot of people have talked throughout the year, and there's been stories about you and the way you eat. You can tell I enjoy pizza, but you have a whole different regimen. You know exactly what you're putting in your body. It's very specific, your diet, right?
Yeah, I start to eat gluten-free things before 9 years, and yes, I try to don't change too much in the style of the food what I eat, especially before the games. But pizza is also good if you find gluten-free. It's also healthy, no?
Gotta find the gluten-free pizza.
Gluten-free pizza or no, Fred?
If it's pizza, I'll probably eat it. Nemanja, thanks a lot for joining us. Good luck this weekend, and also next Wednesday in San Jose. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nemanja Nikolic from the Chicago Fire, nice enough to join us. We come back, we'll take a closer look at the Fire as they gear up for not one, but two road games coming up in the next 7 days, as they will be at Philadelphia this weekend, and then against San Jose a week from tonight on next Wednesday. You are watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by CIBC.
Whoa, impressive stats.
Yeah, these guys are good.
Yes, drive the middle. Let's see that again. What a performance.
Lease a new 2017 RAV4 for $199 a month or get 0% APR for 72 months plus $500 bonus cash on RAV4. Toyota, let's go places.
Hi, Russ for U.S. Waterproofing. Looking for a company to repair your home can be stressful. Look to us, as many of your neighbors have, like Mrs. O'Brien in Elmhurst. we sealed cracks in her crawl space. Or Mr. Weber in Orland Park, we installed a battery backup sump pump. And Mr. Kaplan in Northbrook, he needed structural repair after he noticed cracks in his brickwork.
We've helped many of your neighbors. Schedule your free consultation today at uswaterproofing.com. US Waterproofing, a better basement starts with us.
When my hair gets too long, I lose my edge. But when my cut's right, I'm right. I'm back to being me. My dimples activate. My cleft chin becomes cleftier. I get a twinkle on my tooth, and I speak fluent French. Garbage, chaise lounge, mayonnaise. Au revoir.
Get in, get out, back to greatness. Download the online check-in app. Great clips. It's gonna be great.
Hi. I'm the one clocking in when you're clocking out, sensing your every move and automatically adjusting to help you stay effortlessly comfortable. There. I can also help with this. Does your bed do that? Oh, I don't actually talk, though I'm smart enough to. I'm the new Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed. Let's meet at a Sleep Number store.
Welcome back in. Time for Fire Field Vision, powered by NovaCare, the Chicago Fire. After knocking off DC United last week, they have Philadelphia in Philadelphia this coming week. And it's a little bit of the same story, guys. You want to go up against a team like Philadelphia. They don't have a lot right now that they're playing for also. They're at home, and we talked about it earlier, Frank, that first goal is really big in a game like this.
Yeah, it is. It's just, when you travel on the road, there's no easy games. I mean, it's not only the Fire. You look at throughout the league, every team. It's difficult. This team, at least at home in Philly, I think that they try to play a little bit more. They try to press. But I think that, opportunity is there for the Fire. And I believe, Paul, and for me, I think the white players, whoever plays, I think they're going to have a big impact in this game for me because, again, I'm going to talk about Philly's white players. Many times they don't track back. So the white players, whoever plays for the Fire, if it's a Calm one side, if it's Solning, if it's Alvarez again, I don't know. I think they're going to have opportunities and be isolated many times in 1v1 situations. If they can beat their man, that forces the center backs to come out wide, which leaves Philly team very thin in the middle and also leaves them very thin from late runs centrally for balls being cut back. I think that's an issue because the center backs drop very deep. There's big space between the lines, and if you can force one of the center backs to come out wide and cover, I think there's going to be opportunities for hard runs in the box or for late runs from the midfielders for balls being cut back.
It is a very similar dynamic with Philadelphia and DC United in some ways, right? I mean, they both have goalkeepers that can keep them in games longer than maybe they should be in games. They both have had some issues on the back line this year, whether we're talking about center back or fullback. They both kind of abandoned their initial plan in the season with who they thought was going to be the fullbacks and gone to veterans that are on the team on the roster who maybe don't give you as much as you were hoping to get. And then you're right. I think also with this team, they've aged out a little bit in certain areas. I mean, I'm a big fan of Chris Pontius, but you have to know that what Chris Pontius is at this point in his career. You have to provide cover for him on that left side, allow him to be a little bit less responsible defensively in certain moments because of his age. But the problem for me is when you have the central midfielders that you do on the field, when you have Bedoya and Ilsinho at the same time with Medujinin, well, only one of those three is going to track and defend. And like you said, that creates this space between the lines where you can get on the ball and play a lot. Yeah. And you can make those runs and get in dangerous space with no one tracking you. And I think, exactly what you're saying. I think that's an area that the Fire are going to focus in on.
I think you're right with Blake. I think you got to test him. You got to keep the pressure on him. I think you also have to do, for me, a very good job on Medunjanin because I think for me, he's if not the best player, one of the best players there. I think his ability to kind of control the game and if you give him time, he's got an unbelievable long pass that he can hurt you. I think you got to win second balls too because the one thing that Sapong does give you, your ability to be a little bit more direct, and then if they can win those second balls, I mean, and then now they're down, you throw it pretty quick. They do have some pace depending who plays out wide. If it's this guy Picot, if he's playing, he's got pace, but he plays very narrow. It's almost like a second forward, leaving that space out wide for Fabinho at times or for Wijnaldum to get forward. But other than that, they don't track back. you know. And then, Paul, you're right. I think in the middle of the field, I think that the Fire should have success. Elsinho, if he plays, he's good at combining. You know, he's a very good one-on-one player. If it's Alberg.
But defensively, not so much. You know,
you're
both
right.
of them.
It's a liability.
Elsinho and Alberg. Alberg, he doesn't run. He doesn't track. Fitness is always the issue with Alberg. They can be dangerous in the final third. You know, Medunjanin is a smart player, very good on the ball. And when Elsinho's in, he's quite capable of opening up space with passes. I'm a fan of Sapong in certain moments. I think he is phenomenal, maybe the best in this league at hold-up play as a target striker, being able to win the ball on his own and keep it and allow the team to move forward. Very, very good at it. You cannot allow him to turn and run at you. And if you can keep him facing away from your goal and playing back into that midfield, hopefully you have some numbers there defensively. But if he's able to turn on a center back, if you check with him and he's able to get that arm around and turn, you're in trouble because he is so powerful. He's very smart in how he draws fouls, and that puts Philly in very dangerous positions. They're pretty good on set pieces historically, and that's an area where they've scored some goals this year.
Yeah, and you said a key thing. I think fitness comes in play also, because if you look at the team, they've conceded almost 14 goals in the last 15 minutes of matches. So fitness is an issue. We talked about their transition to defensive recovery is very slow. They do get stretch as a team. And I think the center backs, they play very deep because they're not very fast. If it's Añegu plays a little bit smarter, but then when he knows that you know he doesn't have pace on you, he's going to drop off, which leaves big separation between the lines. So it's a team that, you know, they do get stretched, they do give opportunities, but like Paul said, I think, you know, they have a goalkeeper in Blake who's, you know, he can keep you in any match.
And that's why I like Arturo Alvarez in this game too. If those center backs drop off the way they do, well, we know what Arturo's strength is. He gets on the ball and he cuts into that left foot. He loves that little space on top of the box. So if he beats that left back inside and that center back is dropped too deep to be able to step, he's not afraid to hit a shot. He's very good at finding that pass where Blake has to decide, am I going to come or not? I like him in this matchup for that reason.
Yeah, and the only thing I would say is that when the outside backs do go forward, I think there's got to be discipline, because we talked about Picot, if he's on the field, or Epps, or even Pontes, they don't track back and they're looking out. It's almost like the 4-3-3 wingers in a Dutch system. They're going to stay up high and they're waiting for an opportunity to get the ball and go forward. So there's got to be discipline with the two holding guys to make sure that we don't all push forward, that when we lose the ball, there's opportunities to make sure that we recover and we defend well.
When we come back, we'll take a closer look at Philadelphia. The Fire get ready to take on the Union coming up this week, trying to run their unbeaten streak to 4 games and maybe catch New York City FC for number 2 in the Eastern Conference. You're watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by CIBC.
We don't give up. We don't quit. We keep going. Day in, day out. We fight on. Why? Because we are champions. Be a champion.
Why would you go out of your way and wander around a warehouse for paint when you can just swing by your local Ace? Ace has top-rated paint like Valspar, can match any color, and mixes it with something that's hard to find. Award-winning service. Because the way we see it, if anyone is going to go out of their way,
it should be us.
It's the Ace Extra Mile promise. If it ever takes more than one trip to complete your paint project, we'll bring you what you need, and delivery is free.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
NovaCare is the right choice for all athletes. As the exclusive provider of physical therapy to the Chicago Fire, we know the importance of keeping you active. Our sports medicine program, along with our movement assessments, aids us in finding your weak link and designing a program for you. We offer a full array of home care products so you can continue your care when you're not here. To request an appointment at any of our convenient Chicago locations, visit NovaCare.com today. NovaCare, the power of physical therapy.
Welcome back. Chicago Fire Weekly presented by CIBC. It's time for the Valspar Primer. Valspar, the official paint of your Chicago Fire. The Fire travel to Philadelphia, take on the Union. Union unbeaten in 3 games, all draws in their last couple. Not a lot of pressure. We've talked about that. And the Fire now, they get a chance to see them twice. 5 games remaining. The Fire gets a home and home pretty much with the Philadelphia Union. They do have some players. You guys have mentioned Sapong, but there are other guys. We haven't mentioned Bedoya, a guy, a U.S. men's national team player, and he's out there. They do have some attacking weapons.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've got some pieces on this team that are dangerous in certain moments. Clearly, the combination of those players hasn't really worked great this season for Jim Curtin's team, and I think they've just been missing production out of guys they expected it from. Keegan Rosenberry, I know he's been coming back into the lineup, but only recently able to get back on the field. This was a guy who started and played every single minute last year, was a Rookie of the Year candidate. A lot of people really liked him as a defender, and he just...
Yeah, didn't we hear about him a lot last year?
I don't know who was talking. I think maybe Dan Kelly and Frank Lopez a little bit.
Oh, no.
So, they've had some players that just have dropped off a little bit in their level of play, and some of the young guys haven't developed as quickly. I saw Jim Curtin this week today was talking about how some of the younger guys that they wanted to come through this year aren't going to get on the field this week against Chicago because they're not good enough. Young center back prospect, Austin Trusty. They've got Derek Jones in central midfield. They've got some young guys, and they're not ready. And you know what? At the end of the day, if you're not ready to step on the field, you don't get a chance to play. And so when you look at this team, CJ Sapong causes some issues. Pontius can beat you one-on-one in moments. They get some speed on the outside with Pico or Epps, whoever they play there. But for me, the strength of the team is when you have Medujinin and Elsinho combining and Bedoya kind of covering space behind.
Yeah. And I think at home, Paul, look, there's they do play different at home. I think they come out, they look to press a little bit more, they bring more energy, they're on the ball more. But in the end of the day, the opportunities are going to be there for the Chicago team. I think it's a team that in the middle of the field, when you look at the guys that they have, without the ball as the game goes on, that they're defensively, they're a little bit of a liability at times. They don't track as well back. They don't recover as fast. So I think that the Fire, that they have to approach the game in a careful way. It's not going to be an easy game because at home, expect a fast start again. But I think the opportunities will be there for the team. And the one thing is that when you talk about opportunities, you look at one guy that they have, a kid that was drafted in the 4th round, Elliott, that's made the most of it. The kid has been playing fantastic. The games that I've seen him, I've been really impressed of him as a center back.
He's got a chance to win Rookie of the Year this year in MLS, which is pretty amazing as a 4th round draft pick. For me, I'm just going to vent here in this moment. A lot of teams pass in the 4th round of the draft nowadays.
It's crazy.
And it's crazy to me. Why would you pass up a chance to see a kid? You never know what you're going to get. Jack Elliott is a great example of that. He's fought his way into this lineup. He's become probably their most dependable center back. They'll probably pair him with Onyewu. I'm guessing that Gucci will be back in there, a veteran guy who certainly we know that can help you being with a veteran center back and a rookie center back. Sometimes the veteran helps get you in the right spots and organize things. But credit to a kid with a lot of odds against him. He's got a chance to be Rookie of the Year, and I think that's pretty neat. And then, of course, again, we got to hammer home. Andre Blake is the strength of this Union team. He keeps them in a lot of games. The Jamaican international, he's been phenomenal in the last couple games, coming up with those big saves, and that's what he does. You got to bury your chances when you get him.
I agree with you. I think he's a big key, but I also think for me is this guy Medujinin, because every time I see him at home, he has an impact and that game. His ability, long range, short range, very clever with the ball. But I think you got to make it very difficult on him, But then in the end of the day, now, essentially, if he plays with Bedoya and Elsinho, I think you lose a little bit without the ball, from those 3 guys, because they're all attack-minded guys. Who's going to come back to defend? That's a key, and that's why when you look at them, they do, giving up 14 goals in the last 15 minutes in matches.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with that.
Well, and you know, too, with getting on Yewu and then having Pontius and Sapong and also Bedoya, they were expecting a lot more from this team this year. Jim Curtin's got to be disappointed. And like you said, they have young guys not good enough to get on the field. We'll see what happens in the offseason with these guys.
Easy way to fix it. Go spend some money.
Yeah, and you could probably read about that on 442. We come back. We will take a look at the rest of the league as the Chicago Fire have just 5 games remaining. Couple of road contests coming up this week. They're in Philadelphia on Saturday. Then they travel to San Jose Wednesday. But don't forget the all-important home game coming up against NYCFC. That's coming up on September 30th. Get your tickets right now. 7:30 start. The game presented by Valspar. Go to chicago-fire.com/tickets. We'll take a look at the rest of the league and see how many goals Atlanta has by the time we come back. Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by CIBC.
Geico Motorcycle. Great rates for great rides. Go inside the lives of Chicago's biggest sports stars. Only on Inside Look, presented by Cadillac. Your questions answered.
They got this big because basketball got this big.
Idols revisited.
They bring the atmosphere and the energy that you need throughout the grind of a season.
And the stories behind the headlines revealed.
I realized so many reasons why I'm back home.
Catch a new interview every month with Inside Look on CSN. Visit csnchicago.com for listings.
Hey, Bryce Harper, quick selfie? Wait, how'd you get out here? Oh, don't worry, I've got T-Mobile. It's all unlimited, so I've got unlimited access to all things MLB. You sure about that? Yeah, hey, can I upset the Pine Tar? Check it out. Unlimited data meet unlimited grip. Hey, the guys need me in the bullpen. Sorry. That's the dugout. I know, yeah, totally.
We can't really give every fan access to the field, but we can give you America's best unlimited network, T-Mobile.
Now batting for the White Sox, center fielder number 34, Michael Bennett.
At point guard for the Chicago Bulls, number 6, Shannon Kelly.
At the Bulls Sox Academy, we give each kid one mission. Dream it, train it, be it.
Welcome back in. Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by CIBC. Fred Hubner along with Paul Tenorio, Frank Klopas. Don't forget, Dan Kelly and Frank Klopas will be doing the game this coming Saturday in Philadelphia. Paul's busy himself this weekend, heading out to Portland as they take on Orlando. You'll be on the sidelines for FS1. That'll be fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm excited for the opportunity and thankful. You know, obviously the work I've done in Chicago has helped give me that opportunity, so thankful for that as well. And hopefully everything goes well.
Yeah.
Fred,
well, that's okay.
You see what he does? He was supposed to travel with us, to Philly, but then he goes, bigger opportunities for him. Lets his team down, at least for lets us down.
You'll have just as good of wine if I'm there or if I'm not there the night before the game in Philly. Don't worry.
Listen, it's more time for Dan to talk.
Well, Dan Kelly, he wanted to go do a yoga class with them. They were all set up, and now he's going to go alone again.
Now, over the weekend, a big draw in a big game, a big draw in a couple ways. The 3-3 game with Atlanta in front of a ton of people down in Atlanta. And they've got a lot of home games coming up because they were late getting into their stadium. And it's at their time they can either take advantage of it or not. It was a big thing for them to get the draw. That was a nice thing for the rest of the teams in the Eastern Conference.
Well, they've got 4 goals before halftime tonight against L.A. That's 14 goals in their last 2.5 games. I don't even remember what they did at the beginning of the home streak, but I think it was another 3 or 4 goal performance. And it's unbelievable what this Atlanta team is capable of. And, something I wrote about in my column this week is, this is what MLS teams are capable of doing if you go spend some money. It's not like every team in MLS doesn't have the ability within the rules to go spend on money like this. You spend your money like this. It's just who has the money. Certain teams out there that have billionaire owners, I think it's time for them to step up. I wrote that. New England, Colorado. There are other examples as well, but credit to what Atlanta has built. They are the most fun team in the league to watch. They can score goals in a lot of different ways. And whether it's Joseph Martinez, Miguel Almiron, Yamil Assad, Hector Villalba, they are just a phenomenal team to watch. Stay tuned in for a couple more minutes, and then you can watch them.
Yeah, that obviously, I agree with Paul. I mean, obviously, never want to see coaches, I mean, we heard the news with Heaps a couple days ago. I mean, obviously, that's big news, but it's
the fifth coach this year to be let go.
Fifth coach, but you can just see now the pressure in this league, to do well. But in the end of the day, I think that all those coaches that were let go have had opportunities. I mean, they've given enough time to get the ship back on track, and so I mean, you hate to see it, but it's just part of where this league is going right now.
Listen, I think I wrote today that the problems in New England go far beyond Jay Heaps. It's a cultural issue there. It extends to Mike Burns, the GM, and to the ownership and their investment in infrastructure, and I stand behind that. However, I do think this is a team that underachieved the last 2 years, and a lot of times the coach is the one that takes the blame for that. I don't think it was misplaced at all. I just think that if New England believes that they've solved their problems by firing Jay Heaps, they're going to be in for a big surprise when they're not in the playoffs again next year.
We can't go any further without talking about the U.S. Open Cup final later on tonight.
Exactly.
New York Red Bulls and Sporting Kansas City. It's always nice to have an open title at your own home stadium.
No, I agree with you. And I mean, the atmosphere of the stadium there, it's a fantastic place to play. Obviously, the advantages for KC being at home in front of their fans, but it's a final. It's going to be a difficult game. I'm looking forward to watching it later on, and it's teams that I know the coaches very well, so I'm not going to tell you who I'm rooting for right now.
I have a guess who he's rooting for, but I won't put it out there for him. But, look, it's going to be a great game. I think there are two teams that have a lot at stake here. Kansas City, they want to show that they can keep winning trophies. This would be their 4th Open Cup. It would put them among the best in MLS ever to have 4 Open Cup titles, and kind of Peter Vermees' legacy in Kansas City right now. He's won an MLS Cup. He's won 3 Open Cups. And then I think for Red Bulls, it would be a validating moment. They have changed leadership multiple times in the past few years. Their only trophies are supporter shields. I think it would be a bit of a validation for Jesse Marsch and his ideas, and also the Red Bull organization, their decision to go cheaper, go younger. This would be able to validate that a bit. So both teams have a lot that they're aiming for tonight. I just hope for a good game.
Who do we think Dax is pulling for tonight?
I think he's pulling for Red Bulls. I think he's got a lot. He's got a lot of good friends on that team, and I know he roots for those guys: Sasha Kleshin, Tyler Adams, Spencer Davis, all those guys. That he roots for.
Yeah, the Chicago Fire, they get back in action, try to run their unbeaten streak to 4 games coming up this Saturday as they take on the Philadelphia Union in Philadelphia. Then coming up on Wednesday, heck, we'll be back here next Tuesday previewing that game on Wednesday as the Chicago Fire take on San Jose. But then it leads up to this game. The Chicago Fire hoping to get a couple of nice results, and then it goes into the game against NYCFC coming up Saturday, September 30th, 7:30 start. Presented by Valspar. Get your tickets at chicago-fire.com. For these two guys and Nemanja Nikolic, my name's Fred Hubner. Chicago Fire Weekly presented by CIBC, the official bank of your Chicago Fire.